Hey family, how are you today? I'm coming to you really quickly. I want to talk to you a little bit about the book that we're reading, A Celebration of Discipline. Remember, I promised you that I'd be your tour guide as we go through it, because I'm sure some of you are wondering, why does she have us reading this book? It's quite interesting. The author has some very interesting things that he says. I have you reading the book because I love the principles of the book. Not all of them, even some of the principles in the book. There's never 100. I don't care what book you read. There's going to be some parts of that book that may not apply to you. But much of this book does work for us if we understand how to work it. So one of the things is, I want to remind you that we're reading this book because some of you didn't express to me that you were interested in personal spiritual formation, and we're sort of starting that journey together. Many people, some folks, never even considered these personal disciplines, so we get a chance to take a look at that. I want you to also be reminded that what we're doing is we're going to translate this and put this in our culture. And we're going to argue with the book, and we're going to think critically. We're not just looking at this book and just reading it at face value, but we're pulling from it some very necessary and I think very powerful principles to help guide your personal spiritual formation. Now, there is a section in the book on the discipline of simplicity. That's what I want to have a discussion with you about today. The author mentions 10 controlling principles. Let's go through those 10 controlling principles pretty quickly, just as a matter of discussion, and extract what I think is the foundational thought, the takeaway, I'll call it. All right? So, number 1, need over greed, plain and simple. Think need over greed. Don't let greed inform your purchasing, accumulating decisions. Make sure that the foundation for all that you're doing is based on what you need. God promised to supply all of our needs, not our greed. And we don't want to get caught in a culture that promotes greed. We want to be folks who understand what it is to be faithful to usefulness over status. That doesn't mean we don't like nice things. It just means that we are balanced and we understand and we are informed. So number 1, need over greed, usefulness. Number 2, watch for areas in your life that are undisciplined. Again, plain and simple. He gives some very extravagant examples. He talks about someone with a newspaper, but what can we look at? Social media, craving too much attention, binge watching too much, excessive thoughts about who and what we want and where we want to be and how we want to do, and not enough balance. So we want to watch any place in our life where we are not disciplined. It could be the way we eat, the way we do any particular thing. That's what I want you to take away from number 2. Number 3, giving over attachment. If your closet is bulging out and you can't squeeze another thing into it, that means it's probably time to consider that someone may be able to benefit from your overflow. So don't be attached to just having more stuff, but remember that part of your Christian experience should include having a heart to share with others. There are things that we all possess that could be useful to someone else while we just kind of have it laying around. We don't want to be hoarders. So let's think about possibly de-accumulating some of our clutter. Number 4, getting caught in the gadget cycle. Keep in mind, this book was originally written 40 years ago. The gadget cycle that we are up against now doesn't even compare to what was going on 40 years ago. We have all these options. As soon as you buy the latest, greatest number of whatever that gadget is, the new one is already being offered to you. Don't get caught in that cycle. If you have what you need and it's working for you, if you just the kind of person sometimes you like to change because you like and enjoy change, but don't get caught in the cycle of them pulling you into it, making you believe you have to have the latest, greatest, because that is not always true. Number 5, enjoy the things around you, like beaches and parks, right? That's what he mentions. Let the enjoyment precede the concept or the desire for ownership. So I'm not discrediting ownership. I think that owning beachfront properties or the best that God can offer you should be something that you should delight in, should God allow you to do so. But what we're pulling from this is the enjoyment needs to be more important than the ownership of it. What does that mean? I don't want to acquire anything that I'm so consumed with my possession that I forget to enjoy it. If God should bless me with a beachfront property, I don't want to be consumed night and day with its value, its worth. If I sell it tomorrow, if I keep it, if I don't, just consumed, as opposed to using it as a space that I can actually go and enjoy, and possibly even enjoy God there. So enjoyment, enjoyment, enjoyment. Number 6, appreciate creation. Creation is a beautiful thing. Take those walks, go to the park, be out, look up, look at the sky, look up. You know what we do a lot? We look down a lot. You ever sit in the doctor's office or on a train or a plane or a bus? Everybody's looking down. Let's enjoy creation again. Let's remember to look up. Let's remember to look around us. I have a book here that I wrote many years ago, 2005, I think it is, and I'm not trying to sell you a copy because it's no longer in print. But there's a poem that I wrote in here entitled My Morning Song, and it speaks to this whole concept of enjoying creation. I'll just give you the latter part of the poem. It says, weariness says to the soul, sleep through the night. The voice deep within says, get up while it is dark and watch. Watch for the morning. First you will see, then you will hear. The birds will sing a chorus of a morning song. That poem actually came as a result of the place that I was living in at the time. I could hear the birds chirping in the morning. And some nights may be weary, or I'm overwhelmed about life or raising children or whatever. And I would hear the birds chirping in the morning, and it made me not want to ever drown that sound out. I learned and came to appreciate it and enjoy it. So that's just one example of my own personal experience. But basically, enjoy creation. This earth belongs to the Lord, and we need to make sure we appreciate that. Number 7, avoid the credit trap. That's a timeless truth, period. Wealth builders don't get in a whole bunch of debt, right? Don't get caught being the borrower. The Bible encourages us to be in a position to be the lender. All these companies are out here to get you in debt. The author, basically, I'm drawing from this, just don't get caught in that credit trap. Number 8, speak truth with a yes or a no. Be committed to your word. Plain and simple. I can keep moving. Number 9, break the yoke of oppression. In other words, how do I do that? How do I personally do that? I focus on service to others over getting what I can from others. Plain and simple. Serving others is the priority, not involving myself in how much I can pull from somebody else, even if it's oppressive to them. All right? And number 10, don't allow anything to be more important to you than the great God who has given you these things. Period. That's the last one. Nothing should be more important than the great God. That is what I want you to pull from the simplicity discipline. Not that I'm asking everybody to go home and sell all their goods and you shouldn't have a big house. And if it's 3 people in the house, why do you have 12 rooms? I don't care how big your house is. That's between you and God. You can live wherever you choose. But just make sure whatever the Lord blesses you with, that it never becomes more important to you than God. I still have my book. My book is 25th anniversary, so that tells you I've had it 15 years. It's a little marked up and it's got some stickies in it because I find some of the principles in this book to be quite helpful. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I'll come back to you again with another one of these and we'll talk a little bit more about this book. Don't forget, you have all of the permission in the world to think critically, argue with the book. Take these things and pull them out of that man's culture and pull it into your culture, but find the principle that works, that is timeless, that will help you better develop as a believer. God bless you. I love you. We're going to keep moving forward. All the things that are going on in this world, what are we going to do? We're going to rise above it, and we're going to keep the faith. Talk to you soon.